Welcome to the Avenue podcast, where we're passionate about unleashing your God-given potential through the life-transforming power of the gospel. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Samantha.
And in this episode, we're going to be starting something new because over this summer, we're going to be talking about different experiences of people in our community. And it's going to be more of a casual format when it comes to our podcast. So really excited to interview some people, to get to know some people and hear what God's been putting on their heart. So today we have Sam with us, and we're really excited to have Sam share on things to do with legacy, business, and what God's been doing in her life. But there's a fair bit happening in your life at the moment, Sam, isn't there?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, for those of you who don't know, Samantha just got engaged as of last weekend. So yeah, for those who are on video, show the ring.
Oh my god.
Yeah, big congratulations with that.
Thank you so much. It was a very unexpected experience.
Yeah, you didn't see it coming, did you?
Did not at all.
It was well set up. And you can ask her for photos because there's amazing photos that have been taken as well. But yeah, we're really happy for you and Alan, and it's so exciting to see so many people in our community move into this stage where they're getting married and getting engaged. And I know that God's got a very exciting future ahead for both of you guys. A bit of other things about Sam as well is that she is also a golfer. I don't know if that's by force or by choice, but
it's by choice.
Okay.
It's by choice. Yeah.
Okay.
It was by force, but now it's by choice.
Okay, yeah. So started off with a bit of manipulation.
Yeah.
And then you came around to it eventually.
Absolutely. I love it. I
Yeah.
love the sport now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just need a bit of funding for like new irons, new drivers, and a new bag. So yeah, it'll be expensive.
It's a costly endeavor, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
But it's always exciting to add something new to the cart. I always love that.
Oh
It's
no.
so good.
Don't tell Alan that.
Yeah. No, you can buy me some golf gear. And then some other things as well. What do you do for work, Sam?
So I graduated as a nurse, and I decided to sort of leave nursing to open a therapy hub for kids with disability. And we do occupational therapy, allied health assistance, and support work.
That's awesome. But there's something else that you're not telling us about too. You have a little side hustle going on, or maybe it's the main hustle. I don't know.
Alan and I opened Matcha Society 4 months ago, I think 4 or 5 months ago, and yeah, it's been a passion project of ours. I love matcha, and he likes business, so we put it all together.
That's amazing. So how did that come about? Were you just drinking matcha one day and
no, we were celebrating either one of our birthdays, and he at that time was struggling to make his business idea work.
Okay.
And he was thinking like, I really want to run a business because he loves being out and about. He's an accountant, so he stays in the office all day. And same as for me, like when you're a nurse, you're in the hospital.
Exactly.
And when you do start a family, it's sort of difficult to have that like work-life balance.
Yeah.
And so both of us, we were really united in the thought of like, we're going to run a business in the future.
Yeah.
So I had this idea of like, look, I don't think matcha sucks here in Melbourne. I don't know if there are any matcha lovers out there. It sucks in Victoria.
Except it's from the Matcha Society. Yeah.
And there's no cafes. Like I always go to cafes and they always taste like fish. And so I was like, look, I have an idea. Why don't we start this matcha business? And, you know, it's a niche.
Yeah.
It's not very popular in Australia. And we can be like, we can start that off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You just
Like,
saw the need and you're
yeah.
like, there's a gap there. Let's
Absolutely,
step into
like
that.
pioneering green tea
Yeah.
and matcha into
Exactly.
the business
Exactly.
in
Yeah.
Victoria.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, shout out to Matcha Society. It's great. I've bought some of their stuff and
Ah.
it's great. So
You don't
yeah.
like coffee, but you'll like matcha.
I don't like coffee, but I can do some matcha. That's for sure. Especially that the coconut matcha.
Yeah, with the
That's-
cream.
Yeah.
that
Oh
was
man,
good.
that's
Yeah.
good stuff.
You
Yeah.
have to try it, but you have to buy some matcha first.
Yeah, you do. You do. Well, we're going to be talking about legacy today, and yeah, this is something that's been on your heart a lot, Sam. Why has it been something that has been on your heart lately?
For a lot before my parents or after my parents met Jesus,
Yeah.
it was sort of like instilled in our culture as a family to build a godly legacy. The church that they were in were really huge on that.
Right.
And I grew up knowing about, building a godly legacy, building a life for God, blessing other people through your own life and blessing the children and
Yeah.
the generations in the
It's
future.
amazing. Yeah.
And recently, because I got engaged, I guess I've had that thought of revisiting that and practicing that in my own life, building a godly legacy for myself, my future
Yeah.
children,
Yeah.
and also for my business, the two businesses that we're running.
Yeah.
I think that it's very important
Yeah.
to have godly legacy as the focus in your life.
Yeah.
Some people say like, oh, you're too young to think about those things. But really, when are you going to start thinking about these things? That's the most important thing that you should think about, is how you're going to live your life. So when you leave, you're basically remembered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I guess that's the question. What do you want to be remembered by? And
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you think that there is a difference between like godly legacy, which is what you've been mentioning, and legacy in the world?
Absolutely. I have had so many conversations about this with so many people. We'll start with worldly legacy because that's easy. It's very easy to attain that since everyone else is doing it. You work hard, you climb the corporate ladder, and you have all this money, the achievements, and that for you is godly legacy, or at least that's what people, want to teach us, or what we've learned, that legacy is what your achievements are.
Yeah.
What you can say who you are as a person. I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I've done this, I'm running a business. That is worldly legacy. I have this money, I have this car, I have this ring. Like, for me, that is worldly legacy. Whereas godly legacy is not so much with wealth or the achievements that you get, but it's more so the lasting impact that you leave in the earth. Because when you die, you can't take your achievements or your money or anything like that. But when you die with a godly legacy, people will remember you not as who you are, but as who God changed you to be.
Wow. Yeah.
I could be the worst person, and people will hear your testimony about how God changed your life.
Yeah.
And it's your responsibility to show that to people, that, God has changed your life. That is the godly legacy.
So what do you think are the things that are worthwhile in leaving behind then? What are those things that will carry on for eternity?
The things that are worthwhile are the things that are of God, the things that are eternal, the relationships you make, the words that come out of your mouth, the people that you bless, the people that you train. As a business owner, you train employees, and you have to make a lasting impact, not just by telling them what to do, but having relationships with your employees. At least for me, that's important. But I've lost your question. What was it again?
Yeah, what are the things that are worthwhile in leaving behind?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Relationships.
Yeah,
Relationships with people are the
exactly.
most important part, because otherwise, if you don't have relationships with people, who will remember you?
Exactly.
Your money's not going to remember you. Your house isn't going to
Mm.
remember you. The people that are left behind will remember
I love
you.
that, because your house, your money, it all fades away.
Absolutely.
And that reminds me
Yeah.
of a verse in 2 Corinthians 4, verses 18, which says, while we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. So it's the things that we don't see, those are the things that last forever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your business and running that, what does that look like in terms of, because a business can have this mindset or this stigma where it's like, let's climb that corporate ladder, as you were mentioning, let's build a name for myself, let's make myself successful so that I can be either remembered as rich or famous or something like that. But when it comes to your mindset with business and work, how do you go about that in a way that lives out kingdom values?
I think, well, I'm very blessed because I'm young and I have time, and I can see the people around me, the adults that have run businesses. And good example are my parents. They're good business owners. And I can learn off their own mistakes and not practice it in my life.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean to say that I won't make my own mistakes, but it saves me from a lot of making other unnecessary mistakes,
Sure.
because you learn off of that. And one thing that I learned running a business, keeping godly legacy in mind, is stewardship.
Okay.
I think that if you don't relate what you are doing in terms of like ministry, it's not going to be worthwhile,
Yeah.
and it's not going to make a lasting impact on people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I learned from my parents, like, if you don't take care of the assets that God has given you now, eventually in time, you will lose that, and God will give another person a different chance
Right.
to do it.
Right.
And you won't be able to live that godly legacy anymore because you've
exactly.
like wasted that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
And I learned that off my dad. He has had a lot of chances in terms of like businesses.
Yeah.
And this time he's actually doing really good now. He's, being more faithful to God in terms of like his business. But I see back then he would have all these different businesses back in the Philippines, and none of it made a lasting impact on people because God wasn't a part of it.
Yeah.
But this time when he was running his business, he was giving jobs to international students.
Yeah.
And so for myself, when I'm learning how to run my business, keeping eternity in mind, that it's not just, your business is to make money. It's about to bless other people's lives. God has given you this responsibility to continue this business, not for you, but for other people.
Yeah, that's amazing, because for you see business as ministry itself.
Absolutely.
Because I know some people will see business where it's either I either do business or I do ministry. I can't do both together because business is this all-consuming thing. Then other people think maybe I can do business and ministry. So I'll do business and then I'll do like ministry as well, and try and live a life where I can have both of those things on my left hand and my right hand. But that can be a hard thing to balance.
Yeah.
But I think the way you see it is very powerful. And I think it's the way we should see it, where business is ministry.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be business. I'm running a business, we're making money out of it, but God in your business, whether it's relationships, whether it's your friendships, your work, whatever, your talents, even your own ministry, you don't have to start opening your own business right now just to, relate to this, but in what you are doing in your business, where is God in your business? And I was actually talking to my dad about this because at one point he made an example for me that, God isn't just in different aspects of your life. You're a Christian when you're at home, you're a Christian at church, but when you're in business, you're a businessman.
Yeah.
It doesn't, for me, it doesn't work like
No.
that. For me, it works in a way where you're at home, you're a Christian, you're at school, at church, you're a Christian. When you're in business, you're a Christian.
Yeah.
That is keeping eternity in mind when you're running your business.
Yeah.
In all aspects of your life, you believe in Jesus, you know Jesus, and you practice your faith. That is what I think is, a godly legacy.
For sure. Would you say that you act different in those different settings though?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, you have to adopt certain mindsets and certain principles. Like when I'm at home, I'm very bubbly.
Yeah.
But when I'm at work, I can be a little bit more professional. A bit strict. Like when I recently hired a few employees, and what I tell them when I hire them is, I'm a Christian owner. You will probably one day see me pray for everyone or ask everyone to pray with me before we leave the hub, or like before we start a shift. And even though you're a different religion, or if you don't believe in these things, I just want to let you know that these are the things that we have. These are the culture this is the culture that I want in the company. And if you don't feel comfortable with it, you can choose to stay or you can choose not to. But we are still very open, because at that time, the person that I was interviewing was Muslim. Even if you don't believe in it, like, I would still love for you to work with us. But I'm just saying it because I don't want them to be weirded out. Like, why is this person praying? But I open that culture to everyone in the company, letting them know that God is the center of the business. Yeah,
I love that. So you act a bit differently in different settings, but even though you're acting differently, you're still trying to be authentic to who you are and who God's created you to be.
Because I've seen it with other people when you try to there's this verse in the Bible, a little leaven leaveneth the lump. So I feel like if I just compromise a little bit into who I am and what I believe in, that one day it will all just creep in, and it'll grow bigger into me not actually caring about God in my business anymore. But so I always try to be accountable and always being confident and brave and saying God is the business. God is part of the business.
I love that. And I think I reflect on the Apostle Paul, and he's an amazing example of someone who lived his whole life and structured his whole life around mission. It's not like he compartmentalizes different things. For example, he is depicted as he's a tent maker by trade. That's what he does for a living. He's not funded merely by just the church giving him money, but he actually is a tent maker, and that he uses to fund his ministry. But it's not just to fund his ministry, it's also more than that as well. He uses that as a means by which he can build connections as well. So maybe each of us have a sphere in which in our own tent making sphere as well, where we are called to be a light in those workplaces that we're in the business places that we're in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Paul, he was single as well. And in terms of that, Paul was also part of like the Jewish leadership, wasn't he? And he when one of our key texts actually is from Philippians chapter 3 verse 7. And he says, I once thought these things were valuable, but now I consider them worthless because of what Christ has done. Like, he literally says that everything is worthless without Christ. And for me, I always have to keep that in mind when I'm running a business, when I'm making money, or whenever I feel success in life, because sometimes those things, take a bit in your own values, like
exactly.
But this is a great reminder that without Christ, all of these things are truly, truly worthless. And Paul was up there.
He had a lot.
He had a lot, exactly. And for him to say, and I think he also said, in verse 8, we'll just continue till probably verse 8 to 9. Yes, everything else is worthless when compared with the infinite value of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord. For his sake I have discarded everything else, counting it all as garbage so that I could gain Christ. For me, Paul is like when I hear Paul's character, it reminds me of Alan, my partner.
Yeah.
He's a very calculated person. He's like an accountant, like a
Very
business.
methodical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And for sure, when he uttered the words counting it all as garbage, I'm pretty sure he literally counted it, like studied it, evaluated
Yeah.
whether this was actual garbage.
Right.
And after all that, he concluded, yes, everything else is garbage without Christ.
Yeah.
And for me, that was like, yeah, wow, that's good.
That is very powerful, because you look at and you see people who are chasing after fame, chasing after success, chasing after riches. The reality is that you're never fully satisfied,
Absolutely.
because we don't just want to be rich. We want to be richer than the person next to us. We don't want to just be smart. We want to be smarter than the person next to us.
It's the competition. Truly, it's not really about the thing. It's also about the heart that you have.
Exactly.
Like, I want to have better things than this person.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the heart that we come into it with. But the reality is that there's always going to be someone that has more than us. There's going to be someone who's smarter than us. And we're never going to be, truly satisfied, because we can't reach the top, really. So that's the thing. We need to reorientate our perspectives and our mindsets, and think, what are the things that are worthwhile? What are the things that are valued? Those things that are unseen, the things that will last forever and aren't temporary.
Exactly. And with that, building a godly legacy comes with what is most important to you. Because what is most important to you will creep into your own lifestyle, into your legacy, into your actions. If money is most important to you, your children will love money.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, if kindness is what's most important to you, your children will be kind.
Yeah.
Your employees will be kind. The people around you will be kind, because that is who you embody. But if what's important to you is money, all the people that love you will try and chase that with you. So it's very important to recognize, when you're trying to live a godly legacy and thinking of passing on a godly legacy, you have to determine what is most important to you.
Yeah, exactly. So what is important to you, Sam?
A lot of things, but the most important thing for me is that I have Christ. My biggest fear is, to be honest, it's not failing. I like to go for things. Like, I'm very head on. Like, if I fail, let's just do it.
Yeah.
But my fear is succeeding in things that do not matter.
Yeah.
Because Jesus says, like, when you see me and you say, Lord, Lord, I healed. And he says, I don't know you.
Ooh, yeah.
That's like, that's you've lived a worthless life.
Yeah,
For me,
exactly.
that's like a life that's, wasted.
Yeah.
So what matters for me is Christ. And that is one big thing, that when I have a family, I will 100% make sure and try my best, by God's grace, that my children will know Christ. That is one thing I'm really grateful for my parents. Like, they're not perfect, like all parents are, but one thing is, they really introduced God into my life, Christ into my life, and it's undeniable. And he is the only treasure I have now. And that is one thing that I want my children to have in the future as well, or the people, my employees, the people that I am responsible for, is to know Jesus. Because it doesn't matter if you don't have anything, if you're struggling with money, if you're struggling with hurt and brokenness, and your past is running after you. With Jesus, it's just so different. You'll be all right.
Exactly. It's like what Paul wrote as well in Philippians: for me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. So if you have Jesus, you gain everything that you need. And often the power dynamics are reversed in God's kingdom, where he says, if you want to find your life, you have to actually give it up.
Absolutely. And that relates to worldly legacy and godly legacy. When we started, is that you have to subtract to add. Sometimes in a Christian life, there are things that we have to take out to gain more things.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle that we go through, because there are times where we don't want to let go of the things that we used to love.
Yeah.
But when you encounter Jesus, it definitely becomes easier. It becomes easier for you to let those things go.
Yeah. So how do you continue in this journey of building a legacy that is about God's kingdom and his value when there are so many pressures from the world that are trying to draw you away from that? How do you maintain consistent? How do you achieve this sort of longevity?
Yeah. I think the most important part is surrounding yourself with the right people, having the right influences, having the right environment. Those things really influence you a lot.
Yeah.
The old saying of like, tell me who your friends are and I tell you who you are, that really is true. Yeah. If you are not surrounded by the right people, you won't get the right godly counsel. You won't have the right godly wisdom.
Yeah.
There was this instance actually when I announced my engagement.
Yeah.
I had this sort of topic to like 2 different friends that had 2 different lifestyles, and they had 2 different reactions.
Really?
And the godly one was like, no, that's actually the right thing to do. And then the one that who has been my friend for a long time but has a different lifestyle and doesn't know God, was like, no, that was like, he shouldn't have done that. You know, he should have done a different thing. But like, if you had the good people, the good godly counsel, you can easily also know like, wait, this person's wrong. I'll stick to what this person will say because this sounds more like what God wants me to listen to. And if you don't have that sort of inner circle, it doesn't mean to say like you can't have non-believers, like friends as non-believers, you can't be close to them, you can't listen to them, because truly the best values that I've had and principles that I've learned are from non-believers. They're the best people. Yeah. And sometimes, unfortunately, Christians can be, you know, in the opposite side of the spectrum. Yeah. But yeah, when you have godly counsel and surround yourself with that inner circle, there is a certain trajectory that you guys are going to at the same level, at the same length, and you understand that there is an end point to that, and Jesus is the end point. Yeah. But if you're distracted with all the other people that don't believe in God, you will definitely get influenced. Okay, God's not the priority. So it makes it harder for you to stay in that road of following Jesus. Yeah.
So surround yourself with people that bring out the God in you.
Yeah.
Bring out Jesus's values.
Yes, absolutely.
You, and also have that similar vision that you have. And surrounding yourselves with people like that. Yeah. Influence how you go about building this legacy. What else is there?
There's 3 P's that I've been wanting to share. This is more so things that you would do for your own personal relationship with God, because there's a time where you encounter Jesus and you can have a wonderful experience and meet Jesus, but there's also a difference between just encountering Jesus and pursuing intimacy with Jesus. So you can encounter Jesus, that's all good. That's not the end all and be all. You you have to continue to have new stories, new testimonies, and you have to pursue this. The second part is the hardest. The second P, pursuing intimacy with Jesus with all the distractions in life. Definitely. It's sort of hard to build that relationship with God. And the third P is, once you've encountered Jesus, once you've pursued him with intimacy, then you get to pass on that intentionality of the gospel. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Because you can't, first of all, you can't be intimate with someone who you haven't encountered and do not know. Yeah. And you cannot pass on something that you do not live by. Yeah. Because then no one will listen to you.
Exactly. Yeah. So that passing on comes from an overflow of the experience that you've had with Jesus yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. And I think, if you do those 3 Ps, it's a way in which we can build a life that not just influences our generation, but the generations to come as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what would be the thing that you sort of want to leave people with when it comes to this idea of legacy and living a life that is fully about Jesus and his values?
I actually want to ask you something.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can skip that question and I'll ask you.
All right,
So,
go for it.
and it's an activity for everyone. If they can close their eyes and just imagine that you're dead
Oh, dear.
and you're at your funeral. It's a bit, crazy, right?
Morbid.
That's the first time you've ever heard this on the podcast. And there are people that are coming up to speak about you in your funeral. What do you think they're going to say about you? And what do you hope to say about you?
Wow.
So you can open your eyes. So, yeah, and this for me is huge because this topic especially is huge, and we can go on days talking about this, but it's very important to see the end now. Like what you said.
Start with the end in mind.
Start with the end in mind. And ignore when people say you're too young to think about that. No, think about these things, because when you're living, you need to have a plan and you need to have a goal for you in order to know where you're going.
Yeah, a future vision that
vision,
affects
exactly.
our current reality.
Yeah, a godly legacy is about building it now that we are young and we have time.
Yeah.
It's not about when you're dying.
Yeah.
Because then that'll be too late.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing that I would hope people would sort of remember me by is that I was someone who was hopefully able to see the gifts that God had put in different people and bring that out in people. I've always seen like my mission statement as to see God-given potential in people and help them to unleash that, help them to move in that and walk in that and become everything that God's called them to be. So that's the thing that I feel that God has really placed in my heart and would be the thing that I want to be remembered by. Yeah. What about you? What do you want to be remembered
So in
by?
conclusion for you,
yeah.
you'll like your obituary will say like the best pastor ever. Yeah.
Please, no.
That's what you want everyone to say.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I don't think I really want to be remembered by my label as well, by my occupation. You know?
Absolutely.
I feel like there's so much more to me than just
a pastor.
Yeah. Well, I hope there is.
Yeah.
I hope my whole identity isn't built on that.
Yeah.
But I think, it needs to be something a bit deeper than, an occupation.
I agree.
Yeah, profession. Yeah, but what about you?
I think for me, I just want people to remember me as someone who was always there.
Yeah.
When they needed me.
Yeah.
I think, that's the most important part. I love serving people. I love showing up, doing decorations, cooking, and opening up the house and stuff like that. So I hope that people can just remember me by just being there, being intentional, being present.
Well, I love that. And we already see that in you, Sam, as well.
Thank
I think
you.
what I see in you and in Alan is an amazing posture in your heart where you really want to make your faith practical. You don't see faith and work and how you live your life. You don't see them as separate things. You don't compartmentalize different areas of your lives, but you want faith to be part of everything that you do. And I just want to really commend you for that and really encourage you and say keep moving in that posture of making faith not just something you do once a week, but your whole life, because that's what it is to be a follower of Jesus, to be his disciple, is to live out those kingdom values wherever we are.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy.
Well, it's so good to have you on the podcast, and so good of you to share. I hope that all of you find value in what we were able to talk about today, and maybe you can build a more godly legacy in your life as well.
Absolutely. God bless everyone.
God bless. See you later.